Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. So lovely to see you. And before we get started, let's just take a few breaths. It's middle of the day for people in Hawaii. It's end of the day for people on the East Coast. And I think it's always nice just to stop and pause and take a breath or two, kind of center ourselves and open our hearts and minds to this information. So maybe just close your eyes if you can, if you're not driving or you don't have lots going on where you have to be aware of what's happening around you, but maybe just take a few seconds to close your eyes and start to notice the breath. Just notice it without changing it. And sometimes just by noticing it, we automatically take a deep breath and realize we haven't done this all day. So if you feel a deep breath start to arise, allow it, breathing in and out through your nose. And just slowing it down a little bit more, in and out through your nose. Softening your face. Opening your heart and mind. And go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. So today I'm going to be sharing an introduction to meditation, specifically the Sattva meditation practice, which is rooted in the ancient traditions of the Himalayas, or Himalayas as they say in India. So I'm going to give you a little overview of just what meditation really is in general, because I think we have a bit of a skewed awareness of it in the West, but I want to talk about it from a traditional yogic standpoint. And then, of course, dive into what is the Sattva meditation course and give you a sense of how it flows and what you learn and why. And then we'll open it up for questions. So I want to start by saying that meditation is not an act. It's really and truly not something we do, even though I find myself even saying, oh, I'm going to go do my meditation. But it's actually a state of being. If we really look at what it is. And so we often confuse meditation with visualization or affirmations or concentration, maybe relaxation techniques or stress reduction exercises. And so while those may be byproducts of meditation, they are not meditation in and of itself. Meditation is actually your natural state of awareness. And it's really accessing that field of consciousness that is already present within you. It's what remains when the fluctuations of the mind settle. And so if we look at the Yoga Sutras, meditation as defined by the Yoga Sutras is yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, which means when the modifications of the mind settle, the seer, you, rest in their true nature. And so meditation is really not about adding something or forcing silence or controlling your thoughts. It's really about tuning inward and allowing your mind to return to its source and establishing this effortless awareness. And by that, I mean yourself, big S, establishing this connection to yourself, who you are beyond this physical body. And so in the Sattva tradition, we use breath work, very specific breath work. We use Kriya, specifically Kriya 1, which I'll talk about in a moment. And we use mantra. And these are used to prepare the nervous system and the pranic body so that meditation arises spontaneously. So it's the technique that creates the conditions, but meditation happens. And so what I've found by practicing this specific technique for the last 7 years is that meditation is really being aware of awareness itself. It's really about tapping into that place within me that exists beyond all space of time more and more and more. And so that awareness ultimately expands from the practice into your life the more you do it. So you're probably not going to experience this in the first, first month or so that you're practicing, although maybe some people do. But it's the cumulative effect to where you have greater gaps in these like constant programs running and the constant thoughts. So you go from just doing the meditation practice to being in meditation, and you'll find that more that will exist more and more in your life. And so when we kind of think, why do we meditate? What is it? Why would anybody want to have a meditation practice? Why are people drawn to this? And I think it's ultimately because we're all seeking freedom. Freedom from our sense of lack or our sense of unworthiness, or freedom from pain, freedom from anxiety, the constant thoughts that roll around in people's brains and kind of keep you awake at night. And so it's really about freedom. Meditation is at its core about freedom, and freedom from the ignorance of who we truly are. So it's, again, not stress relief, though that tends to happen when we meditate. And it's not about productivity, though our efficiency in life tends to improve dramatically when we take the time to meditate. A lot of people think they don't have time to meditate. And I think if you're really busy, that's all the more reason to meditate, because you will create this expansiveness and this stability in your life, so from which you can do all the doings of your life. So specifically, what is Sattva meditation? Well, it comes from the Yoga Vedantic tradition, which has been passed down orally from student to teacher for thousands and thousands of years. It is not, you're not going to find this meditation practice written down. You're not going to find it where you can Google it. It is a live transmission from student to teacher. And I think that's one of the really beautiful things about this particular practice. It is a mantra-based meditation. You can do it seated in a chair or seated on the floor, but the mantra is a big piece of it. And so in when we first introduced this meditation practice, we do it in 3 parts. Later, there'll be some other parts to that, which I'll talk about in a moment. But initially, in this upcoming course that I'm teaching, I'm going to teach you 3 things. The very specific breath work, Nadi Shodhana specifically, which is designed to put you in a state to where you're ready to meditate. It helps to balance the right and left hemispheres of the brain. And it really kind of sets the stage so you become more present. It kind of enlivening this sense of presence in the now. And then I'll teach you Kriya 1. That would be the second step of your meditation. And Kriya 1 is a very, again, only passed down orally. You're not going to find Kriya 1 written anywhere. Yogananda does talk about it in Autobiography of a Yogi. He mentions initiating people into Kriya, but he doesn't say what the technique is. The technique is it's secret, not because it's withheld, but again, it's that oral tradition. And so you would pass that down from student to teacher, and you wouldn't share with other people what Kriya 1 is, how it's done. But I will tell you that it is a practice that's very specific for stabilizing your nervous system and tuning your system. It's like tuning inward. I think of it as like tuning the piano or tuning the guitar, right? It's tuning it in so that music can flow effortlessly and be really aligned with, again, that sense of self, that source, that divine nature that exists within you. And then the third part of the meditation practice is the Bija mantra. And so Bija, a Bija mantra is a sound that, again, you are initiated into orally. It's a live transmission. You have your own personal Bija mantra. And it would be something that you kept in your heart. It's not something you share. And I'll talk about why that is here momentarily. But the purpose of the Bija mantra or the Bija sound is it invites stillness. It is like this sound that helps you to align to that sense of stillness. and thus expand your consciousness. So you'll learn a lot more about this in the course. But the Bija mantra is very, very specific. It's a big piece of the practice. And then as you progress, maybe after you've done this practice for 3 or 6 months, maybe even a year, there are 2 more parts that we can introduce. And for those of you who are interested in really making this practice a part of your life, I will share with you the last 2 parts that really make this practice whole and complete and special, even more unique. So, but in and of itself, these 3 parts are really critical. They are the foundational, fundamental parts to this practice. You have the full practice, even if you never did the other 2 steps. They're just kind of like the additional icing on the cake, so to speak. So the big part of this practice is the Bija mantras, and they are a fundamental sound. They don't have meaning. They don't have meaning. It's kind of like saying, if you play music, say middle C on the piano, it's just a sound. How would you describe mental or middle C? Or, does it have meaning? No, it's just middle C. It sounds like C. And a great musician can recognize the sound of C. So your Bija is like that. It's similar. It is more of an experience, and it's dynamic. So because of that, again, you don't write it down. It's not recorded. When it's passed down from student to teacher, there's a certain process where you remember your Bija sound and it becomes part of you. It becomes kind of sewed into your heart and your mind, and then is strengthened through your own practice. So you don't want to write it down, because when you write it down, not only does the Bija sound become static because there's really no translation, but you're also engaging the linear mind, which is not the intention. So again, the Bija draws you towards silence and bliss. It creates this inner response where even the thought of the mantra, like in the practice, you're saying the mantra over and over and over again. Like every time your mind drifts to thought, you point the mind back towards the Bija. And then you'll find that eventually the Bija mantra will just fade away, right? Which is what you want to happen. It's kind of like, again, playing a note on a piano. You play it, you hear it, you feel the dynamics of the sound, and then it slowly dissolves. And then maybe you play it again. So it's similar. It's similar in that it's a sound. So, excuse me. So receiving, hearing, practicing the Bija mantra, this is what really enlivens your consciousness and your brain at the level of sound, or what we would say Nod yoga. So it is really about the transformative power of sound. So you may have heard about mantra-based meditation or the Bija sounds. I would encourage you not to try to Google your Bija sound after you receive it, even though you could. It's again, you want to keep it very pure. It's why you don't tell it to somebody, because you don't want any associated memory attached to it. So if you think of the word love, or you think of the word even freedom, right? We attach some type of memory to those words, some associated memory to those words, depending on what our experience is with it. And so that's another reason why you keep that Bija mantra to yourself. You keep it, you just hold it in your heart and your mind, and use it in your practice. So there has been some research on mantra-based meditation. The most similar practice to Sattva meditation that we have in the West is transcendental meditation. And I know some of the people who are interested in taking this course are familiar with TM. I actually learned TM back in 2003 when I was leaving the Army. And they're similar in that they are both mantra-based meditation. Transcendental meditation was brought over by Paramahansa Yogananda, and he sort of adapted it to make it easier for the Western mind and the West, just the West in general. So when you're initiated into your Bija sound through transcendental meditation, you're not initiated into the Kriya one, or the breath work. And so that is a big, big difference. But we can look at some of the research. For those of you, I know we've got some folks who are really interested in research, and I get it because I've been a part of meditation research for a long time. But there's about 400 peer-reviewed studies on mantra-based meditation, which again would most closely align to what we're doing in the Sattva meditation course. And they have found numerous things, to include that people have experienced reduced stress and anxiety, and specifically trait anxiety. So trait anxiety being not just I've got a lot of stress in my life and I'm feeling anxious, but rather somebody who says, I'm an anxious person. And they have found that mantra-based meditation has really helped with that, as well as lowering blood pressure and improved cardiovascular risk markers, emotional resilience, and it's helping to improve sleep. So again, similar but different. They do come from the same lineage. Sattva meditation, my teacher's teacher was peers with Sri Yukteswar, who trained Yogananda. So it all comes from that Himalayan lineage. But again, very different from Vipassana or MBSR, Dr. Joe, Yoga Nidra, all of these things. So if you have questions about this, I'm happy to kind of give you a little differentiation and why. That's something we can certainly explore in the course, or if you have some questions afterwards, I'm happy to answer those. But just to give you an idea, this practice in and of itself, it's structured, this upcoming course that I'm teaching as a group, but I'm also offering it to anyone who wants to do it personally. So if the times don't work for you and you really want to integrate this into your life, I do teach this one-on-one for people as well. And I do it over the course of 4 days. We do it in retreat settings as well, but these upcoming courses are going to be over a 4-day period, about 2 hours a day. And that's designed because you're going to learn and then you're going to go home and practice. You're going to learn and you're going to go home and practice. And so this helps you to kind of start to do it right from the get-go. It also works if people are so busy, because that's kind of the number one thing people say is, I don't have time to meditate. Everybody has time to meditate. You figure it out. You really do. And that's what I'm going to help you do in this course. So if you are interested in practicing with me, you can always go to the website. It's got all the information, mindbodyaloha.com. You click on meditation, scroll to the bottom. It has the upcoming courses and the times. You can read more information about the course there. And of course, you can always contact me to learn more. So I'm going to stop here because I've said a lot, and I'm going to open it up for questions. And if you're watching this recording and you do have questions, feel free to reach out to me and we can have a conversation. So I'd love to share more about this. I'm very excited to offer this. I just returned from India, where I've been studying with the Sattva Yoga Academy for, since 2019. So it's been almost 7 years. And I'm excited to share these practices that my teacher, Anand Malhotra, has shared with me and empowered me to teach and share this around the world. Because as he says, everybody needs meditation. And I would tend to agree, especially these days in this crazy, crazy world. So thank you for being here today. I'm going to